Frasier insists he does not need his son Freddy's help, even after a knee injury leaves him stranded on the couch. It's potentially the worst episode yet of the season. Let's talk about The Fix Is In. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my Frasier review for episode 9 of the reboot, the 2023 version of Frasier. It's called The Fix Is In, and I tipped my hand a little bit at my feelings on the episode in the intro. I think this one might be the worst one that we have seen so far in this season, but we'll talk about all that here in a moment. First, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding my video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel just about every day. I do try to post something new, and once the Frasier season wraps up, I will still be posting videos every day just about whether it's a movie review or a TV review. So plenty to check out on the channel that is not Frasier related. However, if you do come here just for the Frasier content, I do have a Frasier playlist on my homepage that you can check out that stuff. But please consider subscribing, or if you don't want to do that, or if you're already a subscriber, just like this video or comment below with your thoughts on this episode. Would love to hear from you, and I love talking about Frasier with you guys in the comments. And I'm really curious how this one particularly grabbed you guys, because I'll talk about it here, but yeah, I did not think this was a particularly good episode of the Frasier reboot. So let's get to the basics here. We start with Freddy trying to impress this new girl of his, played by Amber Stevens West. She has been in many things over the years. She was in 22 Jump Street. She was in the ABC Family series Greek, back when it was called ABC Family, before it was Freeform. She did a sitcom a few years ago with Damon Wayans Jr. that lasted just a season, called Happy Together, that I thought was a lot of fun. So she's appeared in several things. But anyway, the scene opens with Freddy showing her around the apartment, and it comes out that he is living with his dad. He's a bit embarrassed by that, as, of course, Frasier was back in the original show, that he was living with his father. But he pretends, oh, I'm kind of taking care of him. So Frasier comes home from this bird watching excursion, and Freddy tells him what's going on, sort of secretly up the steps, and Frasier actually plays along, which was a bit surprising to me. It does not seem quite in character. I also thought, she did not recognize him from his big TV show, and they've sort of built up this Dr. Frasier Crane TV show to be like on a Dr. Phil level. And I think there are people who have never seen a second of the Dr. Phil show, but could tell you exactly who that is. There's a handful of those. Dr. Oz, you could probably do that with. Judge Judy, certainly. Jerry Springer. So I don't know, like, what kind of status was this show that she does not recognize him? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they want to sort of dial that back a little bit and say, okay, maybe he's not one of the most famous faces around, but in any event, sort of irrelevant to the episode, but something that I did think, okay, is she really not going to recognize him, this, big superstar? I don't know. But in any event, that comes up, again later in the episode, which we'll get to. But, basically they sort of end their date and whatever. And then Freddy and Frasier sort of get into it about, you're taking care of me. This is your place, Dad, X, Y, and Z. When you were living with your father, which was, of course, Martin Crane, you were paying for the apartment. It was your apartment. Now it's still your apartment. Now I'm here. So it is a little different when, you're paying all the bills and X, Y, and Z. And as we learn a little bit later in the episode, Frasier feels bad for never really being there very much for Freddy's childhood, so he wants to help him, and as a result, he kind of insists on no help from Freddy, and of course, he's a prideful dude as well, so when things are going wrong in the apartment, he's like, not really sure about, okay, I want to hire somebody. And Freddy's like, no, no, let me do this for you. Let me take care of it, X, Y, and Z. So he does, but it leaves a small hole in the wall where he found a possible leak. And so that's going to lead to, a whole bunch of um, repairs and stuff over the next few months. And Eve is barely in this episode, but well, I'll get to the funny scene with her in a moment, but she tells Frasier basically, look, Freddie is great at this, but he's gonna do it till he figures it out. So he's gonna, if this leak leads to something else, he's gonna do that, and then he's gonna fix this, and it could take a long, long time, but you'll know that your place is up to snuff. Her other funny scene comes a bit later in the episode where her and Freddie are. It's actually one of the few funnier moments in this episode. There's some bright spots, even though I said it was maybe the weakest episode. But she basically is going over with him about how nobody likes to ask for his help or for advice or X, Y, and Z because he is sort of a gloater in the sense of, oh, I did something right, ha ha ha, in your face kind of thing. And she holds a mirror up to him, and she's like, this is the face you make kind of thing. It was a funny moment. And really the only other time we saw Eve in the whole episode. But anyway, when we come back, we realize that Frasier has hired a plumber played by the great Andy Daly, and you've definitely seen him somewhere. He's done so many things over the last like 20 years. He was a regular for a couple seasons on Mad TV. You may know him from the Office episode where he played Benjamin Franklin as like a reenactor. I mean, he's popped up on so many different shows. If you name a popular show from the past 20 years, he probably did a guest spot at some point on it. But he also does a ton of voiceover work as well. So a lot of things on Adult Swim or, on the Fox Animation Domination lineup. He's done a lot of that stuff. So anyway, I'm sure you recognize him from something. But the other, I would say, pretty funny moment of this episode is when Freddie comes back home early and sees this plumber, and Frasier acts as if he is one of his colleagues at Harvard. And so then this guy gets put on the spot and actually does an amazing job of sort of playing it off, which they talk about in the episode a little bit later in the same scene. Once the jig is finally up, the plumber's like, hey, I did my improv pretty well, if I do say so myself, which Frasier agrees with. But basically it comes down to, hey, why won't you let me help you? And that kind of thing. And so Frasier's like, look, I don't need your help. I'm supposed to be the one here for you, X, Y, and Z. And then he ends up hurting his knee. He ends up lame on the couch and still is insisting that he does not need Freddie's help. So Freddy decides to leave the refrigerator door open so it will beep and maybe spoil some of the food. And then he goes off and leaves, and Frasier is left to his own devices, not really even being able to move. So he calls his buddy Alan, which I'll get into that side story, which is pretty bad in just a moment. But let's finish with the Frasier stuff first. Although I guess Alan does kind of get involved in that because there's the emotional core of the episode where they sort of go over, Alan and Frasier do, the reasons why Frasier does not want help from his son. And, they talk about a few different theories, any of which really they could have gone with. But I guess it was funnier for them to keep having Alan say the wrong thing and Frasier saying, no, it's not that. Oh, let me try this, this method. Is it this? No, wrong again, kind of thing. All right, whatever, we get it. And then at the end of the episode, he ends up talking to his son about it, and they come to a consensus. But at the same time, we've got Freddie back with the Amber Stevens West character because she comes back over to basically say, hey, listen, maybe I was wrong about, your dad's illness. I thought you were kind of making it up, but whatever. And then Frasier really plays into it and lays it on and starts talking about, being attacked by robots and all of this. And then he ends up answering the telephone, but it's a banana, and he's like, "Oh yes, Mr. President," which I don't know how I feel about that either. It's sort of poking fun at dementia and Alzheimer's. I don't really love that, and it also seems a bit out of character for Frasier. Now, of course, he has done a lot of wacky things to impress women, back in his original show, and they've already done it a couple of times here on this show. But I don't know. That seemed like a bridge too far, maybe. And Freddie just, oh, I don't know. He kind of seemed like a dick in this episode. Obviously his father's hurting, and I know he's, got the pride thing going on. But for Freddie to just be like, okay, well, cool, I'm going to leave the refrigerator door open. I get it. He was hoping that his father would say, okay, I do need your help. And that it didn't happen. But, to continue this lie with this girl and not even really feel bad about it. I don't know. Look, it's a sitcom, and there's going to be some of those sitcom tropes and stuff, but I don't know. It just we're still trying to get to know this character in his adult version. We knew him last as a teenager on Frasier. But this was not a very likable side of him, I didn't think. So there's that. Okay, but let's get into the B story, which is horrible. We've gone back and forth in the comments about feelings with the David character, and in this one, it is we've come to the realization that Alan has lost more teaching assistants than any other professor in the history of Harvard, and so now he's on his whatever number they said. I forget, but and they're down to David. So David becomes his new TA, and really is going by the letter here of the TA handbook. And so he gets rid of all Alan's alcohol and this and that. And meanwhile, Alan attempts to sort of rewrite the guidelines, and sends them to David's phone in a PDF. And okay, and now it says you are supposed to do menial tasks and this kind of thing. I don't know. I really think the writers have been struggling what to do with David. And, the truth is, he doesn't have to be in every episode. He was missing from what I think, is one of the better episodes. But, Olivia was not in this. Oh, no, Olivia was in this episode, yes, because she's the one who broke the news. That actually was a funny moment where she breaks the news about him being the TA, and then she's like, I'm going to go get ice cream. And then pokes her head back in, a moment later to ask how it's going. Yeah, okay, that was funny. But look, they don't have to have David in every episode. They didn't have to give him a subplot in this episode. I know that they're trying to sort of figure out how to fit him in. And what's sort of frustrating as well is the character kind of goes back and forth between like different types. Like, okay, is he, in the first episode or two, he was like really clumsy. And then more recently he was, just a kiss up and not a ladies man, and anxious and all this. And now he's like very assertive and by the book. And it's like, there's these different shades, and they're all sort of, I suppose kind of similar. But also in some aspects a little bit at odds with each other. And I get it. Daphne and Niles, his parents, have two very different personalities as well. So maybe he has, a little bit from him, a little bit from her. I got that. But I don't know. This didn't, this side story did not do anything for me. But it plays into the Frasier story because, like I said, Frasier calls Alan to come over and help him with the fridge, and David actually picks up the phone, and then the two of them come over. But yeah, it left me, kind of cold. Didn't really get many laughs from it, except for actually the Olivia part at the beginning. And I did like Alan's reaction once he realized that all his alcohol had been, poured down the drain or whatever. And then we see all the different places in his office that he has alcohol stashed. That was pretty funny. But the rest of that storyline, I didn't really care for. But yeah, I mean, overall, this one really just left me kind of cold. I did not like Freddy's character in it really at all. I mean, I understand some of the motivations, for different things, but he came off as kind of jerky. I mean, and I get he wants to help his dad out. Like that part is admirable, but the part with the girlfriend, I don't know. Making fun of dementia to me is not really where it's at. Again, it's a sitcom kind of formula. I get it, but I don't know. Frasier is usually smarter than that, right? As a show, not specifically the character, but as a show. So I didn't love that. And I got some laughs out of it. I did. And I sort of mentioned where they were in the episode, but that was kind of it. And I've mentioned now for the last few episodes, hey, it's great to have this emotional scene, and this person and this person really went back and forth, and it was a nice moment. But at this point, we're 9 episodes in. It seems like every single episode has some kind of emotional moment. I can't remember if all of the original, first season Frasier episodes did. But I don't think so. Now, granted, the season was a lot longer. There's probably 24 episodes in that season as opposed to 10 that we're getting here with the streaming show. But I don't know. It seems like they're really going to that emotional well a lot. Every episode seems to have some sort of character development moment at its core with an emotional center, and I get it. But has that well run dry yet for the first season? I'm not sure. So look, I hope that the season finale next week lifts us back up a little bit to kind of that B to A or A minus sort of range. This one for me is down there with those first couple episodes. This show really started out rocky and then found its stride. I think by the fourth episode it was really, really on a hot streak. Those middle chunk of episodes were great, but here I think this could be the worst one that we've seen yet. I'm going to leave The Fix Is In with a C. Yes, I got some laughs, but the B story did absolutely nothing for me, and it just did not make for likable characters all the way around. But good guest stars. I do like Andy Daly, and I do like Amber Stevens West. I don't know that we'll see much more of her, since they have to play up the dementia angle every time she's around, I guess. But yeah. So hopefully next week will be better. We will see Perry Gilpin as Roz back in action. Now, is she going to be a big part of the episode, or is she just going to be sort of a footnote / cliffhanger towards the end of the episode? I'm not sure. I would like for it to be a Roz centric episode. It would be very fun. And I mean, Freddie would remember her, right, from back in the day, so that could be an interesting dynamic there. But we will see. I will be here with you and post that review when I watch the episode. So thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.